Hi, and welcome to the craft workshop for the Crafty crew, making this little card bag with a ribbon handle, a little tassel and a card dangly. You should have two pieces of cardstock. I have this coloured piece here, and I also have a marbled green piece. They are 12 inches by 12 inches or 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres. You'll have a piece of ribbon for the handle. You'll have a metal ring for the tassel, some more ribbons for the tassel, some brown string for the tassel and to secure your dangly. You'll have a little charm. You'll have a Velcro dot to act as a fastening for the bag. You'll have a button and some double-sided tape to help stick the handle down. You'll also need obviously some scissors, some Yoo-hoo glue or whichever stick glue you prefer, a hole punch, a pencil and ruler, and some kind of scoring item like a blunt knife or a small crochet hook or a paper scorer if you have one. And I'm working on a cutting mat, but it's not necessary if you're going to be just cutting with scissors. I'm actually going to be using a scalpel blade, but you can use scissors equally as well. So that's all the stuff that you need. As far as materials go, you've also got some instructions. There's a template to help you with all the folds and cuts, and another part of the instructions there with an image to help you follow along. So let's tidy up and get started with the cardstock. Okay, so to start with, you're going to take your two pieces of cardstock and choose which one you want as the sides and back of your bag and which one you want to use as the flap. So I'm going to use this marbled one as the base and this patterned one as the flap. So I'll just put the patterned one to the side for now, and we'll work on this one. And again, these are double-sided, so you can choose which side you prefer to have as the outside of the bag. And for me, I'm going to have the dark side on the outside, I think this way round, and I'm going to do all my marking and drawing on the wrong side. On your diagrams, we're going to be working on diagram 1 here. This is cardstock A. We're just going to do 2 folds here, and we're going to cut a piece off the edge, which we'll set aside. So the first thing we'll do is cut that side piece off. If you measure 8.5 centimetres from one end, we're going to cut a strip off one side 8.5 centimetres wide. So mark it with your pencil. Then if you're using scissors, you can draw a line and then follow the line and cut it off with your scissors. I'm actually going to use my knife, so I won't draw a line, I'm just going to cut it straight off. So we've cut off a piece that's 8.5 centimetres wide. We'll just set that aside for a minute. That's going to be, could possibly be the sides of your bag if you choose to use that piece. Okay, so we're going to use this piece now to make the front, base and sides of the bag. What you need to do now is measure 12 centimetres down from the top edge, 12 centimetres up from the other edge on both sides, and then draw a line across. So it should leave you with 6.5 centimetres in the middle, which will be the bottom of the bag. Once you've marked your points, then line them up with your ruler and then use whichever paper scorer you've managed to find, and you're going to score a line along that 12 centimetre mark. I'm just using the reverse of my scalpel gently across, I don't want to cut through. And again on the other 12 centimetre mark, score lightly across there. And then you can gently bend that up on both sides. And that will become the sides and the back of the bag. So just give them a good fold over. Okay, and then you can set that aside for now. So that's the first part, cardstock A used up. Now go back to your cardstock B, which is the patterned one that you're going to use. Some of these pattern papers have got an upside, the right way round, so you want to make sure you're working the right way round, because we're going to cut out a piece that's 23 centimetres by 21, which is going to be the flap. We're going to cut off a piece 8.5 centimetres wide again, which will be an alternative piece to use for the sides. And then you'll have a piece left which you can use to make the card tags, or just use it to embellish your bag as you wish. So I want this to be the outside of my bag, so I'm going to do the work on the other side, which is quite stripy. And I know that this piece of card, it doesn't really matter which way round I use it, but I think because of the position of this leaf, I would like that to be at the bottom of the bag. So I'll use it this way up, turn it over. Okay, so the first thing to do is to mark off this 8.5 centimetre strip. Again, use your ruler to measure 8.5 from the edge inwards. And you can draw a line and use your scissors to cut it. Or as I showed you before, if you've got a scalpel, you can use the scalpel. So that piece is going to be put aside for now. On the piece that you've got left, you need to do a 23 by 21 rectangle, which is going to make the flap. So measure up the long side that you've got left, 23 centimetres. Do that on both sides so you can get a straight line. Going to measure across 21 centimetres. And then you're going to cut that rectangle out. Okay, so we can set that piece aside for the moment. And we're going to go back to the two pieces that you cut off the sides, the 8.5 centimetre pieces. So you need to choose which one that you want the sides of the bag to be. You can either have a matching colour, so they look exactly the same as the front, or choose the coloured piece that you've cut off that matches the flap. So it's up to you to choose which one you want to use now. I'm going to use the coloured one. Okay, again, working on the inside, we're going to find the halfway point. So mark off 15 centimetres so we can make 2 sides. So again, either use your scalpel if you've got a cutting knife or craft knife, or use your scissors. So we have 2 pieces for the sides. Okay, still working on the insides. We're going to measure 1 centimetre in from each long side. One centimetre in from this edge, 1 centimetre in from the other side. Do the same at both ends. And draw a line. Then we're going to measure 3.5 centimetres up from the bottom. So decide which is the top and which is the bottom. Sometimes it doesn't matter. So 3.5 centimetres up from the base. And again, draw a line. Okay, so between on this middle section here, between the 2 upright long lines, you need to find the centre point of this place here. I mean, it's the same whichever way, but so it measures 6.5, so it'll be 3.25. So you do a mark at 3.25 centimetres just here, and 3.25 centimetres at the top there as well. And draw that centre line. Okay, so 3 vertical lines and 1 horizontal line so far. Now the next one we're going to do is the triangle. So we're actually working from diagram 3 at the moment. So we're going to find a point here that's 4 centimetres above our 3.5 centimetre line, along that centre line. So we're going to measure, find your centre point again, following the centre line that we just drew. Go up 4 centimetres and make a little mark. Just there. And then draw a line from that centre mark we've just made to the corner where the horizontal line meets that first long vertical line. So we're going to make a little triangle shape here, like that. Okay, so now we're going to score these lines. So we're going to score the long vertical lines, but not the centre line at the moment. That doesn't get scored all the way down. So score the 2 outside lines. And then score the centre line just as far as the point of that triangle. score the diagonal lines that we drew out to the corner, making that triangle, just as far as the corner where it meets that vertical line, and the same on the other side. And then finally score right across that horizontal line at the bottom of the triangle. Okay. So then we can fold these up, so you can fold that one in a little bit. Fold the side ones up a little bit. Right, now what we need to do is cut off this small rectangle in this corner here. I've marked it on your diagram with a blue mark. So you use your scissors to carefully cut that line just to the corner, and on the other side as well. Okay, and then so these side folds we've done have come up, so they've created what we call a valley fold. The centre fold here is going to make a mountain fold, so you fold it the other way. As well as these two diagonal lines, they also become mountain folds, so they look like mountains. And when that's put into your bag, it should fold like that. Right, let's do the other one. Make sure you know which way up it's going to go. You can match it to the other one if you want to. Side piece. Okay, let's set those aside, and we will get back to doing the flap. Okay, working on the reverse side of the card you've chosen for your flap, and have the long side underneath at the bottom, so it's 23 centimeters this way and 21 centimeters going up. So you can check it with your ruler that you've got it the right way round. And again, you might want to make sure that you've got what's going to be the pointed side of your heart shape down at the bottom, so that it's in the right place. So with the lids, the flaps, you don't have to do a heart shape. This is a heart because it's got the curves at the back and pointed at the front. You can just do a rectangle, or you could just do this pointed section at the front, and that could just be straight at the back. It's up to you. You can change this shape as much as you want. So I'll do the heart with you, but then you can choose what kind of shape you want to do for your bag. So if you're going to do the heart, we're going to measure down 8 centimeters from the top and draw a line. Then we're going to measure 10 centimeters from the base up. It should leave a 3 centimeter gap. But it doesn't matter if it's not exactly 3 centimeters, because that just acts as the how far the bag will open. So it doesn't really matter if it's not exactly 3 centimeters. Draw the line across. So these two lines are going to be your fold lines, and we're going to score those with your paper scorer. Okay, What's important to notice with the flaps is that you've got these straight side pieces in a minute, because what you don't want is to cut into those, which will make a gap or a hole. If you cut into that, you'd get a hole into the top of the bag. So you want to keep these two sections here straight, and then you can do whatever you like to the other edges, the front and the back. So to make a heart shape, you find the center line at the top. The center point for 23 is 11.5. There. And then we're going to measure down 4 centimeters to give you the starting point for the heart. And then it's a case of doing a curved line out and stopping at this point here. So you can freehand draw out, go up as high as you can. You don't want to waste any of the card. Out and then the challenge is getting it the same on the other side. So if you make any more of these, you can use a cup or a bowl, a circular bowl, to give you that round shape. Just spend a bit of time just getting that curve right. Okay, and then to make the pointed section, you start again at the corner here, and the centre point we said was 11.5. Let's mark that. So take your ruler and join up the corner of that bottom line to the centre point, and that will make the pointed part of the heart. Okay, and then you can cut this out, so either with plain scissors, or if you've got pinking shears and you want to have a bit more of a serrated edge, then cut the heart out with pinking shears. So now we're going to score these 2 lines. And we're going to do a valley fold, so folding these up. Okay, the next thing to do is to put the handle in. So we're going to put a hole here and a hole just here. Again, on the diagram you can see the holes are marked with a red dot, and you just have to try and find the centre point. If you want to, you can measure where your centre point is. At 1.5 centimetres, to give you an idea of how far along to put the hole punch. So make sure you don't put both make sure you don't put both punching sections onto the card, otherwise you'll get holes that you don't want. So use the one that leaves one outside of the flap so you don't end up with two holes. Pop the hole punch onto your centre line, push it in as far as it will go, but try and keep it straight underneath so you don't end up having a squiffy shape like that. Try and keep it nice and parallel and pop a hole in that one, and then do the same on the other side. You might have to use the other hole punching side of your punch. Okay, so you've got two holes there. And then if you want to have the danglies attached to the front, the tassel and the card hanger, then you need to put some holes in the front here, and that really is just a judgment call. Just have a fiddle about and see where you think you might want that hole to go. Make sure you don't double punch though, so use your hole punch sensibly. Put one right out of the way and pop a hole in the front flap below that fold. Okay, so I've got one there, and two for the handle. The next thing to do is to thread the ribbon through that's going to make your handle. It'll be the longest piece of ribbon that's in your kit. So it measures approximately 50 centimetres long, and just take the end of it, thread it into the hole. Do the same on the other side. And turn it over. So in your kit you've also got some double-sided sticky tape. It's quite narrow, depending on your width of the ribbon. You may have to do double strips of this. So we're going to put some double-sided tape. I tend to tape it onto the ribbon so that I know it's not going to stick out each side. So we're going to put some tape onto the ribbon. You cut off the end or tear it, it's quite easy to tear. And another piece on the other side. Same on the other one. And then you can choose if you want a straight-ended ribbon or if you want to cut it at an angle. That's your choice. And then stick it down to the centre of the flap. Get your handle sorted out. And we'll just set that aside now while we go back and get the sides and the main part of the bag. Okay, we're going to stick the side pieces now onto the bag, so they're going to sit in here like that with those edges glued to the sides and the base glued to the bottom. Just make sure you've given them a really good press down so that they sit nicely when you've glued them into place. Okay, so we need to put some glue on this edge, the right side edge on each side, and on the base. And then when it's glued, let's glue the base into place first. You want it to line up with the base here. And you want these edges to line up as well. And then bend the side flaps in, so you can glue them each one to the side. Turn it over if it helps. So the side is glued in, the valley folds going in towards the mountain folds, which are now looking that way, valley folds going in towards the bag, that way. Okay, let's do the other side then. So glue on the base and up the long sides. I just give them a good squeeze, make sure they're in contact with each other. Okay, then choose which you want the front or the back of the bag to be. It's going to be the front. And then we're going to attach the flap. So the heart shaped piece is going to go in the back and the pointy bit at the front that way round. So what you need to do is you need to put glue on the inside of the heart flap up to this line, and then glue it onto the back of the bag so that this edge and this line lie next to each other. You need to be quite generous with the glue on this bit. So you need to get it centralised. There'll be a little bit of overhang on each side. And move it so that the edge of the bag and that line meet up. Give it a good press. Give your scored lines a good squeeze every now and again, just to keep them, make sure they bend properly. Okay, before we put the fixing on, we're going to do the tassel that hangs on one of the holes, so just put the bag to the side. In your kit you'll have some brown string, a selection of ribbons, a metal ring and a little charm. So take your ribbons, just lay them on top of each other, it doesn't really matter which way round. And then collect them at the halfway point, and we're going to put them through this ring. So they hang halfway down on each side. And then using your brown string, leave a tail so that you've got something that you can use to tie it with, and wrap it round 4 or 5 times. And then just tie it at the back. Pull it really tight so that it won't unravel. and then you can cut off these tail bits. If you've got some fray glue or super glue, you can dab a bit on that knot just to make sure it doesn't come undone. And then you can measure how long the ribbons are. If they're too long, then you can just cut them to length. You might like them, the fact that they're longer and hanging down. You might want to do them all different lengths, cut angles on them. Up to you to play around with the length of the ribbons and the design you want. And then you'll have a little charm which you can thread onto the key ring. And then thread the key ring through the hole, whichever side you want it to go on. Just take care that you don't rip the card. Okay, so the next part to do is the card dangly. I've got some offcuts here from when some papers have got an obvious pattern that you can cut out a flower or a bird or a bee or something. This one has a leaf shape that I probably will use, or you can just design your own. Maybe you want to make this into a little card. Up to you to play around with what you want to do with that. Then you need to make a hole in it. And then with the other piece of string, the next thing to do is to add the closure for the flap. So you need the self-adhesive Velcro dot and a button if you were going to put a button on. You don't have to. So the self-adhesive Velcro has obviously got a hook section and a fluffy section. Doesn't really matter which way round you put them on. You need to peel off one side and put it onto the flap, then you know you've got it in the right place, rather than onto the base and find out it's too high or too low. So you're going to put the dot, and they're very sticky, onto your flap on the inside. Give it a very good press down. Peel off the other side. And get everything lined up nicely before you push the flap closed. And then you can push the flap closed. There we go. Gently open it up. It won't be completely sealed yet, so just very gently ease it open. And now it's open, you can get your hand in and give it a good press to make sure it's all stuck down well. Okay, and then the final thing to do is to add your button, and ideally you want to use some hot glue or some all-purpose glue for that, or some tacky glue. So, because I've used tacky glue, I would leave that resting downwards till it dried, rather than upright, because the gravity will pull it off. So, but there you go. So your card bag is finished with its tag, tassel, ribbon handle, ready for you to fill up with little presents, letters, photographs, little treats for your person that you're giving it to, or just keep it for yourself and have it on your side as something lovely to look at. I hope you've enjoyed making this with us, and that we see you again on a future Crafty Crew workshop.